Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I help you improve your level of English. This is the third video in my Subject-Verb Agreement series. Today we're talking about countable versus uncountable nouns and how Subject-Verb Agreement relates to these topics. So in part 1 of this series, you learn that singular subjects need singular verbs and plural subjects need plural verbs. In part 2 of this series, we explored collective nouns. So today in part 3, we will discuss countable and uncountable nouns relating to subject-verb agreement. There will also be a short quiz at the end of this lesson. First of all, what are countable nouns? Countable nouns are nouns that can be counted and have both singular and plural forms. Most countable nouns can be made plural by adding s or es to the singular form. We discussed that in my previous video. For example, book becomes books and box becomes boxes. So book would be a singular countable noun and books would be a plural countable noun. Box is a singular countable noun and boxes would be a plural countable noun. So how can we identify countable nouns? Well, we can use determiners. Countable nouns can be preceded by determiners like a or an in their singular form. For instance, a dog or an apple. If we use a or an, we are talking about one dog or one apple. We never say a apples or a dogs. For example, a bird is chirping on the tree outside my window. And you can see that we have a singular countable noun and we use a singular verb. We say a bird is, not a bird are. We can also use certain quantifiers with countable nouns, such as many, few, several, and a number of. For example, many dogs live on my street. Here we have the quantifier many and the plural countable noun dogs and a plural verb live. So what are uncountable nouns? Well, uncountable nouns are nouns that cannot be counted because they describe a mass, an idea, or an abstract concept. Some common examples of uncountable nouns include water, sugar, information, advice, news, money, butter, and rice. We do not say, I have one money, or I have two monies. We say, I have money, or I have some money. So how can you identify uncountable nouns? Well, we can use some determiners. Uncountable nouns do not use a or an before them. Instead, they can be used with some or the. Some information, the news. For example, the information you provided is invaluable. Some bread would be great with this soup. We can also use certain quantifiers with uncountable nouns, such as much, a bit of, a piece of, and a lot of. For example, I need a piece of advice about my love life. We could not say, I need an advice. We have to say some advice or a piece of advice because advice is uncountable. Kathy has a lot of knowledge about world history. So how does this relate to subject-verb agreement? So first of all, countable nouns follow the basic rule. A singular subject needs a singular verb and a plural subject needs a plural verb. For example, the boy is sitting on a bench, singular subject, singular verb. The boys are watching football, plural subject, plural verb. Another example, the teacher gives a lecture on Mondays, singular subject, singular verb. Teachers give homework to reinforce what's been taught in class, plural subject, plural verb. But what about uncountable nouns? Well, with uncountable nouns, we always use singular verbs, regardless of the perceived amount. Uncountable nouns are treated as a singular mass or entity, so we use singular verbs. This is similar with collective nouns. For example, the furniture looks expensive in that showroom. Furniture is an uncountable noun, and we use a singular verb, looks, not look. Information is crucial for making informed decisions. Not information are. Information is uncountable, and we use a singular verb. Rice tastes better when cooked with a pinch of salt. Again, we're using a singular verb. So let's talk about some exceptions and common confusions. There are some words in English that can be both uncountable and countable, depending on the context. For example, my favorite drink, coffee. Coffee can be uncountable when referring to the drink as a whole or the ground beans. For example, coffee is essential for my morning routine. Here, we use a singular verb because we're talking about the uncountable noun coffee, talking about coffee in general. However, coffee can be countable when you're referring to different kinds of coffee or different servings of coffee. So imagine I go to Starbucks and I order 3 coffees. These coffees are cold. You can say cups of coffee, but in English it's very natural to say, I'm ordering 3 coffees. Or 2 teas. This also works with other beverages like water, tea, beer, wine. So to make coffee countable, we do add an S. And there are several words that are like this in English. Another example is the word light. Light is uncountable when referring to illumination or the brightness in a room. For example, the light in this room is too dim. Here we use a singular verb. However, light can be countable when you're referring to sources of light, like lamps or light bulbs. For example, the lights in our living room aren't working properly. Here we're using a plural verb because we are talking about the countable noun lights. So just remember to read the context of the sentence to determine if you're talking about a concept or an actual item that is countable. And now we're going to do our quiz. Okay, so there are 10 sentences in total, and you must correct any subject-verb agreement errors. Number 1, we need to go to the supermarket. The bread have gone stale. Number 2, the children enjoys playing in the park with the puppies. Number 3, the 2 coffees you ordered are ready for you to collect. Number 4, this milk smells like it has expired. Number 5, the bottles of water are in the fridge. Number 6, cheese tastes great with crackers and fresh grapes. Number 7, the lights in the kitchen needs replacing. They won't turn on. Number 8, Dad's advice is always really helpful. Number 9, your homework are due tomorrow. Have you started yet? And finally, number 10, the news is surprising to many people. Okay, let's correct these together. Number 1 is incorrect. It should be the bread has gone stale. Bread is an uncountable noun, so we have to use a singular verb, has and not have. Number 2 is also incorrect. The children enjoys playing. No, children is an irregular plural verb. It is plural, so we have to use a plural verb. Enjoy, not enjoys. Number 3 is correct. Remember, coffee can be uncountable or countable, depending on the context. We are talking about 2 cups of coffee. And in English, we often just say, I want 2 coffees. So this is correct. Are ready. Number 4 is incorrect. Milk is uncountable. This milk smells like it has expired. we need to use a singular verb. Number 5 is correct. Now, water is uncountable. However, we're talking about a quantity. We're talking about bottles of water. So the subject is bottles. If we did not have bottles of and said the water is in the fridge, that would be correct. But because we have this quantity and it's a plural countable noun, we have to use a plural verb. Are, not is. Number 6 is incorrect. It should be cheese tastes great with an S because cheese is uncountable, so we use a singular verb. And number 7 is incorrect. The lights in the kitchen need replacing, not needs, because we're talking about countable lights. We're talking about lamps or light bulbs, and we have made this plural. So we have to use a plural verb, need. Number 8 is correct. Dad's advice is always really helpful. Advice is uncountable, so we use a singular verb. Number 9 is incorrect. Homework is uncountable. We do not say homeworks. This is a very common mistake in English. Your homework is due tomorrow, not are. And finally, number 10 is correct. The news is surprising to many people. Yes, news ends with an S, but it's an uncountable noun. We don't say, I have 1 news or 2 news. You can say, I have some news. But news is uncountable, so we use a singular verb. Okay, so let me know in the comments section how many you got correct out of 10. And make sure to subscribe to my channel for more English lessons. And you can watch my full series on subject-verb agreement rules as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next lesson.